And we're back and we're joined by Ward 3 Milton Town Councillor Adil Khalqi. I hope that's right. Did I
It's
pronounce that
Adil,
correctly?
it's Adil Khalqi, but that's pretty
It was
close.
pretty close. I apologize. Welcome to
Uh,
the show. We're so happy and thrilled that you're on. I can't speak for Philip, but I will say that I used to work for a linen company, so I did a lot of deliveries in Milton. So I've been quite a few times, and there was this. Uh, I call it shawarma. They call it donair, but I don't think it's there anymore. It was off Main Street, Halifax Donair.
yes, that is off Main Street. I believe they might have recently closed, though.
I think so. Shame because that was a great little place. Why don't I give you a second to introduce yourself? And we got a lot of questions, but we love food here. I'd love to know if you have a joint that you love to go to in Milton.
Yeah, well, absolutely. There's a really nice place called Afghan Grill. I'm a fan of Afghan food. The half chicken dinner is something that I tend to get from there a lot, and it's a nice local small business that provides that type of food to our community, and the owners in there are really nice.
That's amazing, but it sounds spicy, no?
I like spice. If it's not spice, it's not right. So the spice is the way to go.
All right, these guys better expect an explosion of popularity now that they've been brought up on the municipals.
Exactly. I will definitely share that I brought that up with them.
I find it interesting that we're talking today. I did a little bit of research because I didn't want to be caught flat footed. Did you know that on July 4th in 1857, the town of Milton held its first council meeting ever? And the first mayor of Milton is a guy named George Brown.
Yeah, and I'm glad you did some digging there. And today is actually Milton's birthday. And the mayor
167 years, yeah.
that's correct. And the mayor that we have right now, Gord Krantz, is the longest serving mayor in Canada. He's been an elected official in Milton municipal politics since 1965. And he's still around doing the duties as a mayor. And Milton has a lot to be proud of with his leadership. And there's a lot of legacy there and history. In terms of our municipality and the leadership here.
Does that mean that we can refer to today as, we can say Happy Independence Day?
Absolutely. You could say happy birthday. Happy birthday, Milton is probably more appropriate. There was some cake cutting that happened earlier today, and it was a good time. Yeah.
So why don't you tell us about yourself? I didn't get a chance to do a lot of research. I deliver downtown, so I got caught in a little bit of traffic. How long have you been on city council? What's that like, and how's it going? And anything else you want to add?
Yeah, no, absolutely. First of all, thank you both for, having me on your program. This is really nice. It's always a pleasure, talking to local individuals who, want to help spread awareness about municipal politics and government and the importance of it, But just because both of you are Toronto based, I guess I'll start with the fact that I used to live in Toronto, born in Pakistan, but when I first moved to Canada, it was in Toronto and I lived there up until 2012. 2012 onwards, I've been in Milton. And one of the first things I ever volunteered with, actually, in terms of getting involved in the community, was with a municipal election campaign for, at the time, my city councillor candidate back in Toronto, John Burnside, who actually happens to be a current sitting councillor with Toronto City Council right now in Don Valley East, if I remember correctly. So anyways, the seed in terms of politics was planted very early on to me, for me, and that really did carry on into my years as I progressed in life and all that. But quite frankly, I'm somebody who just has always cared deeply about making a difference in people's lives and the whole concept behind public service. So through my many hours of volunteer work, education, and ongoing commitment to the community, I've been able to secure my first term as of 2022 into Milton Town Council, and I've become the youngest Milton Town Councillor to ever be elected in the history of this municipality. When I was first elected in 2022 at the age of 22. I'm also a police officer full-time, and that is another way I serve the community in a greater capacity as well. And, I'm proud of both of my positions, and I'm proud of the fact that I get to, portray the inspiration to other young people and people of color that, you know, can hopefully see me and understand that they too can achieve whatever they want to achieve if they put the work in and are committed to doing what they need to do.
Well, absolutely. And how's that for a caveat? I didn't realize you were also a police officer.
Yeah.
So let's talk about Milton, the issues. And I'm wondering, as I said, you know, I was in and out, but I've never really taken the opportunity to learn about the issues that the town of Milton is facing. I'm left to only compare it to Toronto, so I apologize for doing that. But so here in Toronto, you know, we have issues with we have a drug crisis, we have a housing crisis, we have a homeless crisis, and I'm just wondering if any of those issues you're facing, or sorry, Milton is facing, and maybe we can expound on that. And I think Philip wants to jump in.
I mean,
Yeah,
that was kind of exactly really the basis of what I was going to ask. Where, you know, we are the municipals, so we are like obsessed with municipal politics. But being based in Toronto, we do have a very city view, and I understand, you know, rural. Milton isn't rural, but you know what I mean. There are different issues in a place as big as Toronto versus a place like Milton. So while we are focused on exactly the things Matthew's talking about, housing, toxic drugs, I am very curious about the things going on. It is really just what Matthew said. The things going on in Milton, would you be I feel like this is semantics. Would you be considered a city councillor or a town councillor?
So we're proclaimed as a town. So the position here would be town councillor, because we're the town of Milton. I mean, both of the words there, city, town, are interchangeable. I mean, at the end of the day, we meet all the criteria to be classified as a city, if you will. But having said that, we are a town, and the position is town council. Now, to go to the question that you just asked, absolutely. You know, obviously, we're not as populous as Toronto is. But having said that, you know, we're a really fast-growing community, and for a number of years, we've held the position of being the fastest growing municipality in this country. And we're right up there right now as well. Right now, we have about 150,000 residents roughly in terms of our population. And that number is projected to increase exponentially over the years. And by 2050, which is about less than 30 years away, we're going to see approximately 400,000 people call Milton home. So the biggest, you know, item that we're dealing with as a council is our ability to put the plans in place and make the necessary investments to manage that growth. You know, we are working closely with all of the other partner agencies that we work with, you know, whether it's other municipalities to learn from what they've done to accommodate their growth, whether it's, you know, ensuring that we have transit-oriented communities, ensuring that we have walkable communities, ensuring we have communities where everyone can live, work, learn, and play. You know, I think that's what every community strives to be. And knowing that these are our projections for municipal growth, what we really have to do now at the council level is ensure that during budget time, we make the appropriate investments that we need to execute the plans that we have in place to ensure we have a balanced approach towards the services we provide residents, in conjunction with the growth that we're going to continue seeing over the years to come.
That's very interesting. And in terms of like, I'm just wondering if you have a, I really don't know how to ask this question. I apologize. If you have a homeless population.
So in Milton, we're a two-tier municipality. So at the town of Milton, we are actually part of the region of Halton as well. So things like social services, including supports for the homeless, do come from Halton region, and Halton Regional Council has their own entity in terms of that service level. Obviously, I think homelessness exists in various parts of all communities, quite frankly, but I would definitely say that there's a stark difference between the issue of homelessness in the city of Toronto versus here in the town of Milton. You don't see it as much. However, it does absolutely exist. And the supports are there through the region of Halton to allow for the supports to be there for people experiencing homelessness. But it's definitely not to the same extent, I would say, as it is in some other places like the city of Toronto.
I see. Philip, you want to jump in?
The problem is I've got more of a jokey question that I think I have to save for the end, because it's very much not about municipal politics. It's about slop TV. So we'll definitely need to come back on that.
Sure.
I guess so housing, and I say this because as you're pointing out, really, I mean, everywhere is expected to expand. That's sort of how the world works, where we're getting more people. Has Milton worked towards, I want to say, acquiring some of the housing accelerator funds from the federal government? And I wondered, what sort of things have you done to get that funding?
Absolutely. So a few things actually on that. First of all, in terms of us building homes here in Milton, we're building lots of them. We've actually exceeded the growth targets that have been prescribed to us by the province. And we actually recently did receive funding through the Building Faster Fund because of our ability to achieve, and in this case, exceed our housing targets that the province set. So we recently got $8.4 million from the Ontario government as a result of that through the Building Faster Fund. And yes, the Housing Accelerator Fund at the federal level awarded us about $22.4 million to build more homes faster. So we have that funding that's being given to us, and we are committed to using that in a means to obviously support the infrastructure, to support the housing that's going into place, but at the same time also explore opportunities to work with Halton Region, the not-for-profit sector, to build affordable homes that people can, have the choice of choosing when they're looking to purchase a home. Because obviously, to nobody's surprise, housing is very challenging to attain for many people, especially affordable housing. So I'm also happy to say that the first purpose-built rental in Milton is being built in Ward 3 in the area that I represent here in Milton. And this was actually supposed to be a condo building that later, because of the incentives that were provided by these other levels of government and through our municipal programs as well, are now eligible to, they're incentivized to be an affordable residence, and that'll be a purpose-built rental that's coming to Milton as well. And those are the things that we're doing to attract developers to build that type of housing. But in terms of our growth strategy, we're exceeding our targets for housing.
I think that's a hell yeah. We got to give a shout out to that, because that sounds incredible. Like good for you guys.
I also want to mention that we recently in council approved a report for additional residential units. So permitting, things like basement apartments or that third residential unit on a lot. Those are things we've recently approved, and we've made it more lenient for people to be able to, when they apply for a permit for an ARU, that they can get approved for a permit. Things like working with the reduction of the principal residence parking requirement from 2 parking spaces down to 1. Being able to, have people not have to, choose to widen their driveway if they don't really need to in this case. So those type of things like ARUs, people that can't buy a home, maybe they can start off by renting. And this report really spoke to that, and that came to council recently. So we're absolutely committed to providing housing, not just one particular type, but a plethora of different types of housing, whether it's high density ARUs or the traditional single family dwelling. We're providing various types of housing for residents in Milton.
On the topic of housing, Hamilton recently passed a renovation bylaw, and Toronto followed suit. And I'm just wondering if Milton either has already done it or plans to follow suit as well.
I don't believe anything of that nature has come to council yet. In terms of the ARUs and those type of situations as well, we haven't really had that implemented just yet. It's in the phase where staff are working on the operational end of things to make sure we get that implemented smoothly so people can start applying. But obviously, these are things that once we implement them, we're always seeking public input, and we're always here. That's the whole point of being a councillor, I guess, is to, listen to the concerns of the community. If there's something that's identified that we can bring to council to implement, then we'll absolutely take that into consideration.
Sounds great. And so to support your estimated growth, do you guys have a transit plan in mind? I know that you have a bus service, but in terms of anything else, just asking.
So we actually recently just approved at the last council meeting our 5-year transit master plan update. And in that plan over the next 5 years, it in detail highlights the investments that council will need to make, or is recommended to at least make, to be able to achieve the service requirement that a consultant has identified in partnership with our transit team as being needed to support the growth that we're seeing, because we want to obviously be a transit oriented community. That's a strategic imperative for us as councillors here through our strategic planning process. And now we have an updated transit master plan that provides us with a guideline of what we need to do in terms of budget time to make the investments that we need to, by 2029, have the transit system that will accommodate the needs, transit needs of this community. So yes, absolutely. We've recently updated our plan for the transit system in Milton. And by 2029, we'll have a way better transit system than we are currently seeing right now, which is good because we're seeing the development come in, we're seeing the growth come in, and it's all a matter of increasing our frequencies of transit intervals. It's about ensuring that the routes make sense, but at the same time building the infrastructure like high density in areas where it can be supported by transit. So we know we have that in place, and now it's about making sure in budget time council remains committed to making the investment to be able to have those buses, to be able to have those routes, to be able to implement the plan that we've recently approved.
And it's just for buses, right? There's no LRT planned?
We don't have that right now, no.
Okay.
I can't imagine the size of the community might warrant that.
Yeah, I mean, at some point, I think the entire province will probably benefit if we have, an interconnected provincial system for transit. I think we're still a ways away from there, but
That'd be so good.
It's one of those things where it costs a lot of money too, right? Transit is very expensive, and I think somebody told me once that there's only 2 manufacturers in the entire country that produce buses. So
Bombardier and something else.
Exactly, in the entire countries, so even that, in terms of buying a bus, the wait times to get the bus delivered to us is a whole challenge as well. But we're also working on exciting transit initiatives like converting a midlife diesel bus to fully battery electric. That bus is actually being tested right now, and it's almost complete. It'll be on the road soon, and that's the first bus of its kind, the first midlife diesel bus to be converted into battery electric, and we're doing that here in Milton through a Milton-based company. So obviously, that's going to set us up for being able to explore the transition towards the green electric transit fleet at a time in the future. And we're also looking at, finding lands and making a capital investment into a transit facility where we can charge these buses and, have a transit facility to store our buses and have that available for us as well. And we also recently have, a new transit line connecting students who are now calling Conestoga College, Laurier University, home, because we're recently, opened up Conestoga College here in Milton, and there's more plans in place to open up a bigger campus and additional campuses as well for Conestoga College and Laurier University, which are coming to Milton and are already here.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And Phil, did you want to jump in?
So I don't want you to take this as me patronizing you, okay? So you were elected in 22 at 22 years old.
Correct.
So you're 24 years old now.
That's right.
Again, keep in mind I am not patronizing you. Ward 3 in Milton fucking killed it, because you sound like you're great. You're like, sorry, I feel like this is a very silly moment, but all these initiatives you're talking about, all these things you're pushing through, I'm blown away. I think this is incredible stuff going on in Milton, it sounds like. And it sounds like the people of Ward 3 made a very smart decision in electing you their councillor.
Well, I really appreciate that, and it's I like to see myself as someone who's just, dedicated to serving the community. And when I speak to somebody at the door or at a community event and all that, I think, that energy really resonates with them because it's coming from a place of, authenticity. And that's what's so important. And I think we could use more of that in political life is, people who have demonstrated a commitment to the community and want to truly make a difference positively in the lives of people. And that's literally what I do for a living in 2 different capacities as a job that was fueled and earned by, a plethora of volunteer work, and life experience and community service that I did prior to getting both of the positions that I currently have in terms of employment. So, but I really appreciate that. Thank you so
God,
much.
I fucking love that. That's like, I feel like that is my kind of my dream scenario with politicians. We have a lot of politicians who are very kind of, I want to say very
Old and slow and
I mean, it's not
not.
necessarily the old and slow. I mean, you're not wrong.
I would
But like
say
it's
I would
I
say lacking in passion for
yeah,
what they do, and
and a desire to serve the community as
Yep.
like a baseline, because so many people. I think maybe I am being a bit needlessly combative, but I do feel like there is a lot of people who are self-serving when they run for government, and it's so great to hear someone who's talking about community and coming from a place of authenticity. I really do think that's so cool. As a secondary thought, though, as you are both a counselor and a police officer, um, I'm not going to jump into my police politics, but as you work two jobs, I am curious. Does that imply that the town councilor role is more part time? Which isn't,
Absolutely.
again,
Yeah.
it's not me putting that down. It's more like, I guess, the time they expect from you for the work for you to put in.
Exactly. No, exactly. Most of the work is actually virtual. We obviously have our council meetings, which are in person, and we have those once, twice a month. We'll have workshops also, maybe once, twice a month, every here and there. So that's more of the in-person commitment. But yeah, most of the work is, making sure you're responding to your emails, making sure you're active in the community and all of that. But just to put that into perspective and all that, if somebody really wanted to, and there may be some counselors that do this, that don't go to any community events, that don't send out newsletters, for example. All they'll do is respond to their emails and show up at the meeting. It's technically part-time.
We have a few of
So
those here in Toronto. So
yeah. Or some might not even respond to your email depending on their commitment.
we have those too.
Exactly. So yeah. That's my point there. This job is one of those things where you really need to go above and beyond on your own end. At least I feel like everybody that gets this job should be doing that. You need to go above and beyond. You need to do more than the bare minimum. In anything that you do, quite frankly, especially in a job like being a counselor, which is a big responsibility. We're dealing with people's taxpayer money that we choose to spend in a certain way to deliver quality service for them. So we need to make sure we are connected with the community. And the only way to do that is by staying engaged with the community. And that engagement comes in the form of social media, in person at events, through a newsletter, through interviews that I'm doing with you right now, things that aren't part of the job description, that aren't required of me, other than sending emails and going up to council meeting. These are things that somebody needs to also do on top of that to be an effective and a good counselor. At least that's what I believe in terms of what somebody should be doing. So yes, to answer your question, it's part-time at the local level. So is our remuneration as well. When you get into the regional level, the mayor level, those are positions that require a bit more of a commitment as well. And they're treated more of a full-time in a capacity there. But most of the local councillors here, they also have full-time jobs as well. Some are lawyers and they do other things and all of that as well.
Now, I would be remiss if I didn't ask you a couple of police questions.
Sure.
Again, I'm not sure how Milton works. You said it was the region, so I assume it's Halton Regional Police. I'm just wondering, and again, I'm just asking for an opinion. If you can't answer it, just let me know. I'm cool with that. But what's your budget look like? And then if I could ask you a couple of questions, because you're uniquely qualified, just picking your brain about how we could get Toronto's police budget under control, if that's okay.
Yeah, so police, but again, goes back to my earlier point about being a two-tier municipality. So since we are part of Halton Region here at Milton, Policing falls at the regional level. So we have Halton Regional Police Service that provides policing services to the town of Milton and the other Halton municipalities. What I can tell you is that there was a recent increase in the police budget at the regional level here by, I believe, 9.5% to hire, 49 new officers and keep up with the crime trends that the Halton region is seeing. And those decisions in terms of approvals and the budgetary process for the police that serves here in Milton is done at the regional level. So I don't have insight in regards to the specifics of what those discussions were like. And because I'm a police officer, I'm not really privy to being part of those discussions if I was there, because of the political conflict that I would have if I were in that case. But yeah, those decisions are made by the region. But what I would say in that case is that, each community is different in terms of what they need from the police. The police are in a very particular role, prestigious role, right, where they're problem solvers, and it's about going into tough situation and finding a solution. That's what being a police officer is in a nutshell, and it really comes down to the needs of the community there, and the councillors need to work with their liaisons at the police service to ensure that they have a true reflection of what the needs are. And it's up to the council there to decide in Toronto, I guess, to see what the needs are of the community, what the issues are. Because when things get tough, people usually call the police, and they need to ensure that they have a response that's adequate to meet the needs.
Absolutely. And just to end it off, we've been maybe a little bit unfairly, maybe fairly, it depends on where you fall on it. We've been harping,
depending on who you ask.
I've been harping on the amount of the Toronto Police budget because I believe it's out of control. Yes, there are things that both Phil and I don't know, so that could be part of it. I'm just wondering, is it like, if you take a look at the Ontario Sunshine List, even for the last 3 years, there are a lot of, just for lack of a better word, I'll say regular police officers on that list. And I can't help but think that that's because there's no way to, I guess, I don't know how to say it, but block the overtime. And instead of one officer making all that money, take some of that away and hire more officers, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Is that, have I fallen off the cliff, or am I resonating? I'm not sure where I fall on this topic, and I'd love, if I'm completely crazy, just let me know.
You know what? To be honest with you, I honestly don't even know how to go about that. You're talking about the city of Toronto. I'm not even privy to any of those discussions, or, quite frankly, there. And I have to be careful what I say here too, because of the conflict that I have. So I can't dwell too much into the specifics of that. But what I will say, because you mentioned overtime, and I'll speak generally in terms of any organization. When I look at this, in a perfect organization, overtime should be very minimal, and potentially maybe in some cases doesn't even exist, because if there's overtime happening in any organization, that's probably because they're short staff. It could be sick calls. It could be for a number of reasons, or it could be the unique nature of the job that particular organization does for the community. So in a general perspective, I'll say that, but honestly, I don't even think I'm allowed to comment specifically about that, but and nor do I know what to respond for that particular matter. But I would say that this is where the councillors that have the ability to weigh in on that discussion, which I guess in Toronto they absolutely would at the local level there, then that this is something exactly that needs to be brought up with the appropriate people, ideally with the people that are on the police board.
I appreciate you taking a shot, though. I really do.
Yeah.
And I want to thank, before we run out of time, I just want to thank you for coming on here and letting us know about Milton. Again, it's such a beautiful town. Philip, you got to go, man. You got to go. We got to go to this.
We got to have like
Afghan grill.
We really got to have like a little mini municipals road trip. I don't know how we'd fund it. Eventually we'll figure out a way to do it. I just think it'd be so fun to go all around and see all these different cities and towns, and just get get the vibes going. You know what I mean?
It's such a
course, yeah.
beautiful town. They've got Sargent Farms there, that does all the chicken. We delivered there. That's how I know that. They've got so many beautiful places. Like, I can't even begin to tell you like the beauty that I've seen, and Adil, you see it every day. So I mean,
No,
it's a great place to call home. I'm actually a little jealous that you got to leave in 2012 and I'm still here doing this, but no, we're good.
Hey, well, like I said, we're exceeding our growth targets. If you want to come over here, we're happy to accommodate you. And no, it's a great community. It's a community that everyone can be proud of. We're a safe, vibrant community that has a really good future ahead of us. And I'm gonna quote our logo: "We're a place of possibility." This is truly where everybody can call Milton home and have a future here if they really want to invest in this community. And it's a great place. It's a great place to be a small business owner. It's a great place to be a resident. And we're continuing to manage our growth to get to where we want to be by 2050, 2051. And it's very exciting.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Phil, you had a joke question. Go take it
I
away.
did. I absolutely. Here's the problem. I got so excited by my joke question of how I wanted to present it. To be honest, I'm secretly razzing Matthew, because my wife was scrolling through his the This Time in History podcast Twitter followers, and she noticed that one of them that you followed, Matthew, was Love Island. So I was gonna make some jokes about Casa Amor or whatever. So my question to you, Adil, was going to be, is there any slop television that you just, on your off time, you just sit back, you're done with the day, your busy day, and you're just like, let's turn my brain off, let's get Big Brother on the TV? And the answer can be no, but I'm so curious again. But mostly this was to Raz Matthew.
No, fair enough. Yeah, no, you know what? I'm just so busy that I don't really get much time for TV. But I'm not too picky. Whatever's on YouTube, whatever's on Netflix, I might just try something new and watch whatever pops up that probably has the best name or picture associated to it. To be honest, nothing too specific. But
Fair enough. I just wanted to Raz Matthew for that.
And don't hate on Love Island. Anyway, so thank you again for coming on the show. We really appreciate it. And just thank you.
Yeah, no, of course. Happy to be part of your program. And thank you again for doing what you do, because it's important to get the word out about the importance of municipal government and politics. And I think everybody benefits when more people get involved. So appreciate everything both of you have done.